Hello everyone. This section I'm going to talk to you about sources and suppliers. So first I'm going to show you this document. It's not complete yet. It's a work in progress, but it's open source and the community can edit it. You can find a link to this document in the course if you look at the description of this video. And anybody with that link can copy it, do whatever they want to the link. I encourage people to fill in this information as they go through, and over time this will get better and better and better. But, oh, I just did something bad. No bueno! Nope, we don't want that. Not same day shipping. All right, blank. Okay, so let me explain this a little bit. Because in this video, I'm going to show you this list, which includes 300 different potential sources that you could use. I haven't personally used all of these sources. I just wanted to make this list to show you guys that you have options. No matter kind of where you are, there are options for you. Okay? So let's talk about what can be different with sources. Because you're going to find that there's a couple things that kind of dictate what kind of experience you have with a source when you're a dropshipper, right? One second, this is bothering me. Tracking speed. Okay, so those differences are these columns here. So let's first talk about the marketplace. Marketplace is the kind of country that the source ships items to, right? So some sources ship internationally, but most of them ship to a specific marketplace. And the vast majority of all sources ship to the USA and are USA based, right? But there are also a lot of UK sources. So here, we can look down this list. Look, almost all of these are USA, and then a pretty big chunk of them are UK. And then we have a handful of sources that are Switzerland, Netherlands, Poland, Germany, all that, but they're mostly eBay. So basically, most sources are USA, some are UK, and then third is Canadian sources. There are other sources, right? But generally, those are the big kind of eBay marketplaces. So those are the ones that you're going to be selling into, the US marketplace, the UK marketplace, or the Canadian marketplace, right? And the US is the biggest by far. UK is second, Canadian is like third, I think. It may actually be less than some others. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So that's what marketplace is. Now we have this column here, which is whether the source is against dropshipping. There are some sources that are explicitly against dropshippers. They do not want you to ship items to an address that is different than your billing address, all right? So obviously not all of these are filled in, but you can find that most of them are not against dropshipping, but there are some sources like Toys R Us. I can find it. No, these are UK. Come on, Toys R Us, Toys R Us, Toys R Us. Toy Splash. Why is Toys R Us not here? I'm confused. Is it just spelt differently? Toys R Us. Why is it not here? Huh. Interesting. Toys R Us isn't here. All right, so maybe somebody just is eliminating anything. Yeah, they might be filtering out. There we go. That's what it is. Somebody has filtered out. There we go. Okay. So you can see that the range UK is against dropshipping. They don't allow it. So then there's no point in really using it. Target's against dropshipping? Huh. Interesting. See, I'm learning things by this. Use only as a backup source. They cancel orders if you reach a limit. So the reason I made this a community document is that so that multiple people can put in information as they get experience with a source, and then we can all benefit from it, right? So this is a free document. Anyone can use it. Obviously, you guys have paid for this course, so you get it as part of the course, but you can actually access this through YouTube as well. So you don't need to be a course member in order to access this, because this document will get better the more people use it. So I want it to be free and public, right? So okay, we talked about against dropshipping. Then a source can also either allow shipment to freight forwarders or not allow shipment to freight forwarders. A freight forwarder, how do I put this simply? Okay, eBay GSP is an example of a freight forwarding service. Freight forwarding is when you receive a package and then you send it somewhere else. So usually this is a way to get an item overseas, right? Say that you want to buy an item from walmart.com. They don't ship to Australia, but you can get a contract with a freight forwarding company like Pitney Bowes so that you get Walmart to send the item to the freight forwarding center in the US, because they do ship to the US, and then that freight forwarding center will then ship the item to the international buyer, right? You would think that most sources would allow this because it doesn't require any extra effort on their part. All that they have to do is just ship to a US address. Everything else is taken care of by the freight forwarder. The freight forwarder is the one who deals with the extra shipping costs to the buyer and all that kind of stuff. The thing is, freight forwarding is also used by people who are committing fraud because it's a way to anonymize the purchase. You can have an item go to a freight forwarder and then actually go back into the same country. And once it's shipped out by that freight forwarder, it's basically gone. You can't really get it back. You can't call the post office and get them to return it. It's a way that some people launder and commit fraud, right? So because of that, there are some sources that are just explicitly against freight forwarders, okay? Just something to keep in mind. So if you are using one of those sources, you cannot sell internationally. So you can't sell using eBay GSP. And for me, that's a big problem because eBay GSP accounts for 40% of my business. So if a source doesn't allow freight forwarding, that means that I can't do 40% of my sales. It's crazy, all right? Anyway, moving forward. So we have freight forwarding, and then we also have shipping speed and tracking speed. So this is similar, but not the same. Shipping speed is what you would imagine. It's how quickly the item arrives at the buyer's location after an order is placed. So, there's typical is like 3 to 5 day. Longer than that is unusual. Shorter than that is also unusual. Amazon will allow like same day or 1 day or 2 day, and they are the fastest. Second fastest is Walmart. They have a lot of 2-day shipping items, which is awesome. But just because a source ships an item quickly does not mean that they also give you tracking numbers for that item quickly. You will find that some sources don't upload the tracking number until the item's already delivered. And some sources, they don't even give you the tracking number. You have to email them and ask them for it. So it's important to understand that shipping speed and tracking speed are different. And tracking speed doesn't really matter a whole lot if you're shipping the items quickly, but you are going to find that until the buyer gets the item, if there isn't a tracking number, they're going to assume that the item hasn't even been shipped yet. Like, that's going to be frustrating for them, right? And if you can't provide them a tracking number to show them that it's been shipped, it's harder to keep them happy, right? Getting tracking numbers quickly expedites everything. It makes everything less stressful, and it also allows you to win a lot of cases. So it's important that you do get them at some point, right? But moving forward. So the next section is reselling mentioned in terms of use. This is kind of like if they're against dropshipping or not against dropshipping. But what this means is that somebody has looked at the terms of use that you sign when you make an account with this particular source, and they've looked to see if it mentions anything about resale. So a lot of them do, some don't. Walmart's, for example, says that they reserve the right to cancel your order for any reason, okay? So they say, hey, Walmart is not intended for resale. We reserve the right to cancel your order for any reason. I still use it every day. A lot of people make a whole living off Walmart. Just because they say something in their terms of use doesn't mean they're explicitly against it, right? And also, like, you may think, oh, what do you mean, Jack? Walmart just said that Walmart's not for resale and that they may cancel your orders. Like, look, another section of their terms of use says that they reserve the right to cancel your order for any reason anyway, regardless of you being a reseller. So they already reserve the right to cancel your order if you are just a regular buyer. Like, it's the same thing if you're a reseller or a buyer. They're interested in business, and they are more interested in providing good service to individuals than in making money with businesses. but that doesn't mean that they're explicitly against it. Like Walmart knows I'm a reseller. Like they've referenced it. I still, like, my orders don't get canceled. Everything's bueno at the moment. So anyway, moving forward. The other thing that changes is the return policy of the merchant. Some places have a really easy return policy. Walmart is an example of probably the easiest return policy because all you have to do is click a button and you get a label. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to call anybody. You don't even have to open an instant message chat. And you also have about 90 days in order to do that return. The only time that it's not super simple is with a freight return, in which case you have to do an instant message chat to open up the return thing, but it still works out quite well. On the contrary, you have some sources that literally do not accept returns unless the item was broken. And then you have some sources like, look, we have 14-day return policies. 30 days is the most common, but then 90 is another one. So 30 days means that, okay, as long as you try and return the item within 30 days, we'll accept it, right? That doesn't mean that they're going to pay for return shipping. And you'll find that most places, they will pay for return shipping if the item was broken or defective or damaged or something was wrong with it. But not all places. Some places, even if you get a broke item, you're just screwed. Those are really frustrating. That's why I try and stick with places that have an easy return policy because returned items is just part of the dropshipping experience, unfortunately. You can do things to lower your return rate, but you are going to have to deal with returns. You're going to have to accept that, a percentage of the sales that you make will be returned. There's no way around that, right? So it's easier if that process is just fluid and quick. Next, we're going to talk about cashback. I've already talked about this, but some places have cashback, some places don't. Some places have really bad cashback, like 1 or 2%. Some places have great cashback, like 7 or 8%. It varies, and you'll find that cashback tends to be better during the fourth quarter, which is great because that's also when most sales happen. It's wonderful. So then there's only 2 more things that make a source or a supplier different. The next is if they have gift cards available. So the reason that you want to get gift cards is because you can often get them for cheaper than their face value. So for some places, you could get $100 worth of gift cards for that source for $95. That means that you can earn more money, right? Other places like Walmart, I get them for 2%. So I pay $98 for every $100 I spend on Walmart. It's just another way to up your margins a little bit. And then the last option, and the one that people really are obsessed about to the point where I have a video specifically talking about this concept in this course, is the gift option. A lot of these places, when they ship the item out, there's going to be a receipt, and that receipt will show the amount that you paid, not the amount that the buyer paid, so that could potentially freak people out. Honestly, the reality is it almost doesn't matter. Most of the time, even if the number is there and the buyer sees that it's less, they're not going to care. And if they do, it's unlikely they're going to say something about it. You will have times where the buyer is like, what the hell? You overcharged me. This says $15. I paid $25. But the reality is those people are so picky that they were probably just angry about something anyway and just found something. So even if that invoice wasn't there, they'd be like, you said this was aquamarine and it's teal. You're wrong. Buyers get frustrated. And they are frustrating to deal with. But I wouldn't worry too much about the gift option. But it is good to know. And if you are using a source that just lets you get rid of it, okay, cool. You just saved 2 hours of your life a year. Awesome. What it actually is better at is it's more about peace of mind for the sellers themselves than the actual results. But don't talk too much about that because people will be like, they get all drawn up about it. Okay, so those are all the different variables that change based on each source. And you can use this document to kind of be like, okay, I want to try a different source. Let's go here. Okay, I have 310 options. So don't be like, oh, I'm not in the US. I can't drop ship. Well, you know what? Look here. We have 25 to 91. Okay, you have 70 stores you can use in the UK. You have options. Okay, sweet. All right, guys. See you in the next video. The rest of this section, I'm going to show you three specific sources. The next video is going to be about Walmart, and this is the source that I use the most and I have the most experience with. After that, there's a video about Home Depot, and then a video about Amazon. All right, guys. Ciao.